All right, welcome to our broadcast. We start with our top story today. Kenya's outstanding debt is at 7.3 trillion shillings after Treasury borrowed an additional 27.4 billion shillings in December 2020. This comes against the backdrop of an ailing economy with deficits in tax collection. But if the record 166 billion shillings collected by KRA in December alone is anything to go by, perhaps Treasury's debt appetite could be suppressed. Let's now give you more perspective on just what these numbers mean for the country. Here is the debt situation. Now, last year in December, we borrowed 27.4 billion shillings. That was by Treasury, of course, to sustain a battered economy per se. In the last 6 months alone, Treasury borrowed around 688.2 billion shillings. That was in the last 6 months. Let's give you more perspective on why what all these numbers mean. So our outstanding debt currently stands at 7.3 trillion Kenya shillings. That is debt owed both internally and from external debtors. Let's look at what it was last year. Our debt was 3.08 trillion, I beg your pardon. And then Treasury projected 1 billion deficit in the 2021-2022 financial year. That is in the budget projections by Treasury. So we'll tell you why the 27.4 billion shillings was important to borrow. That was in December last year. Remember, in 6 months, Treasury borrowed 688 billion shillings. An additional 27.4 was borrowed last year in December to sustain that budget. Now, with this projection of 1 billion shillings deficit in 2021-2022 financial year, means we need an extra 311.2 billion shillings to at least meet our budgetary requirements, because our budget last year was 3.08 trillion shillings. That means we could be falling short by almost a third of it. So what does the government owe? 3.5 trillion shillings locally, and of course it owes 3.8 trillion externally, bringing the debt internal debt ratio and external debt ratio to about 1.1%. Moving on. We have our debt ceiling currently stands at 9 trillion shillings, and then Treasury was talking about increasing the debt ceiling to 12 trillion. That would perhaps give the country a bit more headroom to borrow. What is our repayment plan? 904.7 billion shillings will be paid off to both domestic and external debtors by close of the financial year, that is in June 2021. And of course, Kenya is now enjoying a bit of moratorium after we are currently enjoying a 6-month moratorium from 10 countries, which that amount of money totals to about 32.9 billion Kenya shillings. And that's our standing currently with the debt situation in the country. And we hope that those financial requirements will be met just so that the country is cushioned against excessive borrowing and to sustain the economy. Now, let's take on to more stories. All right, tea farmers in central Kenya want the new regulations by the ministry to be fast-tracked to ensure farmers start enjoying the provisions captured therein. According to Irungu Nyakera, the legal tussle stands to delay the operationalization of the new laws.